Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Fickenshire, Business Development Lead at eComEngine, and I'm happy to bring you Matt and Lori from Well Insurance. I met them at the 2017 Prosper Show and couldn't wait to tell you about what they're doing to offer increased protection and peace of mind in a very, very volatile e-commerce world. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty because I need to remember to unmute myself. So we're going to hear a lot of information today about insurance, suspension insurance, and some things that you can do to protect yourself from suspension. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on eComEngine so you can see why we're able to present this information to you. Most of you know us because of the software we've built for you, sellers on the Amazon Marketplace. We're eComEngine, creator of Feedback 5, Restock Pro, and eComSpy. We developed these tools to help Amazon merchants automate segments of their businesses. We offer intuitive and innovative tools, a fantastic customer service and tech support team, and lots of thought leadership in e-commerce theory and best practices. That's why today we want to introduce you to Well Insurance. It would be an understatement to say that it is definitely a best practice to make sure you're properly insured as an e-commerce professional. So I'm going to turn everything over to Matt and Lori so that they can teach us what we need to know. But first, I think they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves.
Thanks, Liz. We appreciate you having us on today. My name is Matt Laval, and been an insurance agent for about 18 years now. We developed and started Well Insurance to help e-commerce sellers. As most Amazon merchants don't realize that they need insurance to protect themselves. There's a litany of things that can threaten your livelihood. Lori came to us several months ago and asked us, if her Amazon business was suspended, would she have coverage for it? So I'm going to let Lori give you a little background about herself and how Well Insurance came to be.
Hey guys, my name is Lori Urons, and yeah, I'm an Amazon seller. We've been doing this for specifically on Amazon for 7 years now, and as our business grew, which was really exciting, but my husband and I, that's all we do full time is our e-commerce business. And the majority of it is definitely on Amazon, which is a blessing and also a bit concerning at times to know that our entire family is tied to Amazon. So with that, I was doing our due diligence we're private labelers. So we were doing our due diligence and getting our general liability per Amazon's terms of service, Wayfair's terms of service, Walmart, all the places that we are. And we were buying our general liability through an insurance agency where Matt and our other business partner, Nicole, was working. And so we were just reviewing our account as we always did every year to make sure we had the proper general liability coverage. And like Matt said, I said, I'd really like to know if we were to be suspended by Amazon, is there any type of insurance for that? Maybe something similar to a business interruption policy that other business owners have access to. And of course, there was nothing like that, but Matt and Nicole were amazing and said, Lori, that doesn't mean we can't start talking about trying to make one available. So we kind of went from there. So that was definitely the birth of the product, was just the need, the necessity of it. And I'm really proud that there's something out there now for my family and hopefully for, something that could be of use and protection for other sellers, because I think there's a real need for it, especially as more and more people get into this industry and more people become dependent on that income for their livelihood. So yeah, that's who I am, and I'm still selling every day, and glad that we've got some options for insurance, more options than we've had in the past anyway. So that's who I am, and that's kind of the role that I play within Well Insurance is continuing to let them know what's going on the seller side of things, which, as you guys know, is always changing.
I guess we're ready for the next slide, Liz. Let's talk about insurance. What is general liability insurance and who needs it? General liability is the basics. It's the building blocks of what your company needs as a seller. Hopefully you have a general insurance policy in place already. For those of you who don't, let me try and explain general liability just in a very simple, basic form. It's designed to protect the company's assets, to pay for any financial obligations due to losses from injury, negligence, and accidents that could occur. A general liability policy can protect the business from bodily injury, property damage, legal fees, judgments, any settlements that could be awarded should you be successfully sued. So who needs a general liability policy? That's a pretty easy answer. It's every business owner or every business needs a general liability policy. We live in a sue crazy society these days, and if you think your business is low risk and it's not worth paying the small premiums associated with the policy, you're fooling yourself. Typically, these premiums range between $500 to $2,000 depending on the type of business and the risk associated with it. That's definitely a lot less than a potential lawsuit in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not into the millions. Plus, you've got the cost of hiring legal counsel, which typically is included in a general liability policy. So let's talk about products liability now. Next slide, Liz. Products liability. Generally, that is included with a general liability policy at limits that are similar, if not matching, what the general liability aggregate limit is. This coverage provides the manufacturer or the seller liability in the event that one of their products were to cause bodily injury or property damage to a third party due to a defect, malfunction, just anything that could happen to that product that could injure somebody. This could be a product of any type, food, could be a machine, could be a toy, any other goods sold by the business to the public. Types of typical products liability claims include manufacturer or production flaws, design defects, defective warnings or instructions. Next slide, Liz, please. Let's talk about all insurance agents are not created equal. Is your policy rated correctly? Many e-commerce businesses currently have general liability policy in force, but do you have it rated correctly? Not everyone that sells online should be rated as an internet retailer. If you're selling a type of private label product that's manufactured overseas, you now become a manufacturer. You're not a retailer anymore. You're the one that has the product liability going back to that product. Now you have a huge liability exposure, which is generally not there if you are selling someone else's product or a retail arbitrage product. At times, the insurance company may want to see some type of compliance reports that your product meets U.S. safety standards. So it's definitely something to think about. In this case, a lot of companies may or may not have coverage. If you're not rated correctly, you may have maybe insurance, and we don't want maybe insurance. Make sure you're rated correctly. Make sure your agent knows your e-commerce business. If your agent doesn't know the difference between FBA and FBM, you might want to look for one that does. Next slide, Liz. Let's talk a little bit about business auto. Even though your company may not own a vehicle per se, you still may have an exposure for auto liability. Ask yourself two questions. Do you go to the post office or the UPS store on company time? Do you go to the bank during operating hours to make a deposit? If you answered yes to either one of those, you have an auto exposure. At minimum, you need at least a hired non-owned auto policy. This will protect the business in the event that an accident occurs on company time and you're brought into a lawsuit for that. Next slide, Liz. Next on the list, we have the umbrella or the excess liability coverage. The umbrella policy is simply a standalone excess liability policy that helps the business in case they're brought into a lawsuit or facing a judgment for anything that might be in excess of what their general liability limits offer. Let's use for an example that a business was sued and they're facing a judgment of $1.5 million because something they were legally liable for. The general liability would pay the first $1 million. Then the umbrella would kick in to pay the additional $500,000 on top of it. If the business did not have the umbrella in place at that time, they could be held responsible for that excess of $500,000. I'm sure there's not a lot of us that can go to the checkbook and cut that $500,000 check to make that problem go away. An umbrella is a cheap solution to that problem. Next slide, Liz. Business interruption coverage, or business income coverage, simply put. This is more for a brick and mortar type of business. It's for some reason, if you're forced out of your business or it has to temporarily close, let's say you have a fire and you have to move out. This is going to, and you're shut down for a period of time. This is going to help replace net incomes, normal operating expenses, payroll, mortgage. It's also going to help you temporarily relocate. Any of the fees or any of the expenses that are associated with that move, this business income will help to absorb those and help make those go away, so to speak. Next slide, please. We also have cyber liability. Cyber liability is a relatively new coverage in the insurance world. It's for any business that uses any electronic information or transmits any electronic information. The business could potentially be sued for data breach and other cyber crimes. This could include, legal fees, judgments, or settlements. A general liability policy typically does not cover these properly. Cyber liability, they continue to evolve. In the ever-changing nature of the threats and the ever-changing nature of online industry as a whole, not only do these policies pay for the judgments and the fees that may be put on a business, they also help to repair the reputation of business or brand. So those are very important coverages as well. Next slide, Liz. And last that we have to offer here is the Amazon suspension insurance, the expense defense policy. This is the policy that Lori came to us about 18 or 19 months ago and said, if my business were suspended by Amazon, do I have any coverage for it? Well, now you as a seller, you have coverage. This is the first ever insurance policy to help protect your business from normal operating expenses. We've worked really hard to bring you affordable, scalable suspension insurance that is just right for your business. We think that this policy is a very valuable asset to any online retailer, specifically an Amazon online retailer. The policy is a 30-day policy, which will automatically renew every month. It does have a 5-day waiting period or a 5-day deductible. It's not a monetary deductible, but a time deductible. There are 5 daily coverage options to choose from. We'll see those on the next slide. We have plans 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Coverages start out at $1,000 a day, all the way up to $10,000 a day. There's also some coverage, the RSR, that is the Reinstatement Specialist Reimbursement. We require you to let us know in the event of a suspension within 24 hours that you have been suspended. You're also required to hire a reinstatement specialist within that 24-hour window so they can get the letter sent to Amazon to try and get you reinstated as quickly as possible. You'll see as the daily coverage amounts increase, the reimbursement for the specialist also increases. Those will be paid whether you meet the 5-day window or not. Once the 5-day window has expired, the 5-day time period, then we will start paying for your losses for expenses. And those expenses are 12 items, and they are on the next slide. Let's take a look at those, Liz. Again, we have 12 items that our policy will pay for. The cost of goods sold, advertising, insurance, payroll, shipping and delivery expenses, property taxes, license of subscriptions, rent, utilities, amortization, service agreements, and interest expense. All of these items, they will be declared on the profit and loss statement for the business. I hope we've been informative here. I hope we've kind of given you a little bit of insight on what every e-commerce business needs as far as your insurance goes. I know these were very basic. We would love to talk to you in the future if you've got more detailed questions. I'm going to turn it back over to Liz, and we will address your questions just as soon as she's finished.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks, Lori. I anticipate that y'all are going to have quite a few questions, so please put those into the questions section of GoToWebinar, and we will get those to Matt and Lori. I'm going to talk to you for a couple minutes about how eComEngine can help you, and then at the end, we'll address all your questions. So, how can eComEngine help you? You might know, I told you at the beginning that we have 3 different software tools that we designed specifically for sellers on the Amazon Marketplace. They'll not only help you automate your business, but they can help you follow best selling practices. So, Feedback 5 is an easy to use feedback automation and monitoring tool. Your seller reputation is important for a number of reasons. 1, it can help you win the buy box. That's great and all, but monitoring your feedback and product reviews is so important to your seller health and your customer happiness. Feedback 5 provides at-a-glance information about your feedback and product reviews so that you can respond to customers quickly, allowing you to provide the level of service that Amazon expects from sellers on their marketplace. An organized seller is often a successful seller. Restock Pro helps you get a handle on your supply chain and keep track of your inventory so that you can avoid annoying out-of-stock situations and unhappy buyers. And finally, eComSpy can help you choose items to sell that are in high demand with low competition. It's super simple. You just basically upload a list of ASINs and you'll receive a report real quick that includes product ranking, number of FBA sellers, lowest FBA price, potential profit, and more. Don't get stuck with a bunch of inventory that isn't right for your business. We have a couple special offers that we would like to extend to you. The WELL17 coupon code will get you a 30-day free trial with Feedback 5 and Restock Pro, or 150 free credits with eComSpy. The folks at Well Insurance are happy to talk to you to see how they can meet your needs and see how they can answer your questions. So I'm just going to leave this up here so y'all can take note of that. You've got the web address for Well Insurance right there on your screen, and we're going to start diving into your questions right now. So I'm going to turn things back over to Matt and Lori.
Okay, thank you, Liz. First question is, as a drop shipper, do I need this kind of insurance? Absolutely. I mean, there may be some of the coverages that you may not need, probably the business auto, possibly the cyber liability, but that business still has an exposure, still has a liability exposure for those products that they're moving through their business. So to answer that question, yes, even though a business may be a dropship business, there can still be a lawsuit, that could result from something that one of those products did to somebody, etc. So yes, the answer to that is yes, they do need that. Next question is, can you recommend a reinstatement specialist in the event that I'm suspended? Absolutely. We have a very, very short list. We're actually in negotiations now with a service that will work directly with Well Insurance. So basically, we will be a one-stop shop, and they have also agreed in principle to do the reinstatement for what the reimbursement amount of the policy is for. So that's great news to the seller, is they shouldn't be out any additional expenses for that reinstatement specialist to go to work for them. And it's our ultimate goal, as it is the seller, is to get them turned back on as quickly as possible. Next question is, suspension insurance cover any reason for suspension or only specific ones? Basically, this policy is going to cover you as long as that suspension was not intentional. As long as you're not selling something that's in violation of Amazon's terms of service, it's typically going to be a covered policy, going to be a covered loss. Again, it goes back to Amazon suspends sellers, and then they ask questions later. The insurance policy is going to pay the loss, then they're going to ask the questions. We've partnered up with Lloyd's of London on this. So Lloyd's of London is the actual underwriting company. They're the oldest insurance company in the world, and they're financially strong enough to pay these losses. And we feel like we've got a great product here, and it's a great service for any Amazon seller. What should I look for in an insurance agent? You need an agent that knows not only your home and your cars, but somebody that understands the e-commerce world. There's different coverages, there's different exposures. Going back to if you're selling a private label that's manufactured in China, again, you're not an internet retailer anymore. You're now the manufacturer, because the insurance companies, they can't subrogate back against the Chinese manufacturer if there's a default or problem with your product. You become the manufacturer. So that's just make sure that your agent understands what your business is and what you're doing.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
I'm going to chime in there real quick. This is Lori. I'm just going to say, as a seller, I think you guys could appreciate this, that we've gone through the gamut of lawyers and CPAs and, warehouses, and, time is money. And I just think, too, part of it is, if you have to educate your insurance agent on your business, I just don't think that that's probably the right place for you, So I think there are definitely insurance agents out there who do already work with e-com sellers, and I would try to find those insurance agents. So whether it's Well or someone else that you hear about through your networking, but the reality is, you should not, if you're having to educate your agent on FBA and private labeling and compliance, that might be a good sign that they might be a good agent for your personal insurance, but probably not your business insurance. So that I would just say, from a seller's perspective, definitely keep looking, the same way you do with other services you shop out, because we just don't have time for that, right? But so I just wanted to chime in on that real quick, Matt.
Okay, thank you, Lori. The next question is, what are the daily dollar amounts for suspension insurance? Are those total sales or profits? They are not total sales or profits. They are expenses. Those 12 items are expenses, basically to keep your business afloat. We want to help pay your payroll. We want to help pay your advertising, your insurance, your cost of goods sold. You're going to have daily expenses based on that profit and loss statement that you need coverage for in the event of the suspension. So it's not an income replacement. It's not based on sales. It's simply for the expenses. Got a question here as far as, can you define suspension? Does this cover if your product is put in hazmat review and delisted for a week? The suspension is an account as a whole. It's not on the individual ASIN level. And also, if your account is put in the hazmat review and delisted for a week, you're probably not going to meet the 5-day waiting period anyway. So that's probably going to be a moot point. But it is for an account as a whole. Let's see. Policies applicable to individual seller accounts or businesses only. These policies can be sold to an individual, an LLC, corporation, as long as they are a U.S.-based business. You can purchase the policy. So that's very good. We we don't limit it to just LLCs or corporations. Let's see. What happens if you don't tell the insurance after 24 hours? You need to. It's part of the policy agreement, part of the contract that you sign on your side, as well as our side, that you must tell us within 24 hours of the suspension. That's 24 hours of, and simply notifying us is sending an email, calling an 800 number to the claims team and say, look, my account's been suspended. This could even be on a Saturday or Sunday or on a holiday. And we realize things happen, at bad times, but that's part of the contract is we do require that you notify us within 24 hours. Now we also understand that the reinstatement specialist may not be able to be hired within 24 hours, or they may not be able to start to go to work for you within 24 hours. But as long as if you talk to them, you sent that email to them to notify them, then everything should be good. Policies covered hijacked accounts, hacked bank accounts. We do cover the account suspension for the hacking. We don't cover the funds that may have been compromised, but we do cover the expenses while the account has been suspended. Let's see here. In the event of an account suspension, when do we get paid? That's going to be shortly after your account has been reactivated. The claims team will work with you during the suspension, as well as your reinstatement specialist, to get you turned back on as quickly as possible. So say your account was suspended for 15 days. We're going to take the first 5 days off as the deductible. Then you're going to be paid a daily expense rate based on your profit and loss statement. We will take the profit and loss statement, simply divide it by 30 as far as the expenses go, to get you a daily rate on all of those items. Then we will pay you for, on this example, we will pay you for the 10 days that you were suspended. I got a question. Does the insurance cover specific ASINs, or is it only accounts as a whole? It is, like I said before, it is accounts as a whole. Let's see. There's a question here. It says on the InsureTech website, they say the max coverage period is 90 days. I thought you offered 180 days. This is the third generation of this policy. The first policy we had was very confusing for sellers. It was confusing on how it was paid. It was an income replacement policy. That policy has gone away, and now this policy is a very simple to understand. It's very affordable. The other policy was for any seller that was over a couple $1 million a year was not affordable. For the smaller seller, less than a couple $1 million in gross sales a year, it was a very nice little policy. But simply put, that policy has gone away, and this expense policy, the expense defense policy, has now taken its place. Let's see here. Does Well offer insurance to high-risk sellers, example, toys, etc.? We have a market for just about all e-commerce sellers. Premiums may be more expensive, as you know, for toy manufacturers, toy sellers, anything baby related. Those generally fall in a very high class. But yes, we do have a market for 99.9% of the online sellers. In the event of an account suspension, does Amazon suspension policy pay the full day coverage, or is it based on potential earnings from inventory? We're going to pay you the 12 items again that are declared on your profit and loss statement. And it's going to be paid to a maximum of your daily amount. the $1,000, the $2,500, the $5,000, the $7,500, or the $10,000. We'll pay you up to that limit for that policy that you purchased. The easiest way to contact us to start the process for the suspension insurance is simply visit our website at well-insurance.com. There's a link, there are two links on there. One is a general liability form. If you need a general liability quote, there's some questions to get us started on that. There's also an expense defense link. The expense defense link will take you to the InsurTech website where you can work through the application. It literally takes less than 3 minutes to complete the application, pay for the policy, download a copy of it, and have everything activated and policy bound and in force. Very, very simple, very, very simple process. What does the policy cost? Those are, the premiums are very cheap. They range from the $1,000 a day policy, which is $26.77 a month, up to the $10,000 a day policy, which is $120 a month. So as you can see, these policies are very, very, very affordable, even for a small seller who's just getting started. Reimbursement specialists have a higher rate to work weekends, holidays for an expedited turnaround. You only reimburse for their basic rate or their immediate action. We actually have a list of the specialists that we recommend. Again, Well Insurance has partnered with a reinstatement specialist, and they're going to do the reinstatements for the reimbursement amount of that specific policy for that specific business. They've agreed to do it on a volume basis, and they will work basically around the clock to get that reinstated as needed. What happens if you do not get reinstated? It's a good question. The policy is a 30-day policy, and if for some reason that you do not get reinstated, then we will pay you for up to the 30 days for whatever your daily limit is. So that's a pretty straightforward question, but it's a very simple answer. So, is there a possibility to read the policy prior to buying it? Yes, you can. If you go to our website and you click on the expense defense link, complete the application with InsurTech, you will actually see a copy of the policy before you have the opportunity to pay for it. So you can run through the policy. But again, it's a very, very simple to understand policy. We're going to pay you for the 12 expenses, listed on your profit and loss statement. Let's see. Do you insure European sellers or U.S. only? Currently, this policy is for U.S.-based businesses only. We hope to expand the program into Canada, Europe, and also Australia within the near future. But that is not available as we speak. We hope that is coming very soon, though. What 30 days is looked at for the profit and loss statement? The previous 30 days or a 30-day period from a year ago? This matters a lot during Christmas. We are going to look at the profit and loss statement for the month of suspension. We want actual expenses for that month. We understand that e-commerce businesses grow and the expenses vary month to month. They also vary year to year as businesses grow. We understand your expenses are not the same today as they were a year ago. So we're going to look at real-time data on those profit and loss statements. So we sell on both our website and Amazon. How does payment for losses work when a company is not 100% selling on Amazon? Is it prorated somehow based on the percent of Amazon versus other sellers? They are going to look at what your breakdown is as far as your Amazon expenses versus your in-house expenses. But when it comes down to it, if the majority of your sales are coming from Amazon, they're going to pay you. They're not going to shortchange you in any way. We're not looking for ways to not pay for your expenses if you're shut down. I can guarantee you that it will be a very, very fair very agreeable value to you and your business. And I believe that's about all the questions. Let's see here. One more just popped up. How do you determine the cost of the expenses using the specific month profit and loss? Yes, that is correct. We're going to use real-time data. We're going to use that particular month's profit and loss statement. So what, whatever that might be for that month. The cost of goods sold. Maybe you just placed a huge order that's coming in. So we've got some manufacturing costs there for the cost of goods sold. Maybe you gave your employees a raise last month. So, we're going to pay real-time expenses in the event of a shutdown. I think I just touched on this question with the part of the last one. It says, if you look at the 30-day suspension, there will be no new sales from Amazon, so there will be no cost of goods sold. How does this work? Simply put, it's, you still may have some manufacturing costs for those times being shut down. The cost of goods, simply put, is beginning inventory less purchases with, ends up with an ending inventory. Well, you're not going to have any purchases there, but you still could have some costs from beginning. You still could have some manufacturing costs. So those will go in there to determine and help pay for those for the days of suspension. So looks like that's about all of our questions. I'm going to turn things back over to Liz here and let her wrap things up.
All right.
Appreciate you having us on, Liz.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, Lori. I think this was a great amount of information. I think we got a lot of really good questions. So thanks to all of our participants today for having such great questions for the team. If you have more questions, you can definitely reach out to Well Insurance at their web address, well-insurance.com. I'm going to be sending out a recording of this webinar in a little while. So feel free to share that with any of your friends who might have missed it today. Thanks everybody so much for attending, and we will see you next time.